share your skip the line hack, if you would, with our listeners.
Don't compromise on your criteria just to get into a deal. It's like, again, the invest in haste, repent at leisure concept. You are the steward of your investors' money and also your own hard-earned money. Think about the hours and years or months it took you to earn that money. Don't throw it away because of your eagerness and impatience to get into a deal. There's got to be a balance. You don't want to be stuck in analysis paralysis that a lot of engineers are guilty of, but set yourself a deadline, get really educated, don't compromise on your criteria. And it's just like with the stock market, it's just like with any investment. Don't use your emotions. Be rational, have sounding boards to help you make those decisions. Don't overpay for something, because if you don't buy it right, it's going to be a very uphill battle for the next few years to even just break even. Don't compromise on crime, at least for me. I don't do well in high crime properties, drug dealers, etc. They'll offer to pay you up front even months in advance. And they're like, okay, you're setting up shop here. You're not going to attract the right kind of residents at my property. So be very, very diligent of that. I drive by my properties at night as an example to see what's really going on, things like that. So don't compromise on your criteria and be as careful as you can, because these are, large investments.
Love it. Hold the line. Don't edit the spreadsheet to make the deal work.
Correct. Very important.
The numbers that pop out are the numbers. Like, don't spend too much time swapping out those assumptions so you can switch that number. It's not going to go well in the end.
Yeah.
And it's very short-sighted.
Right? In expenses, people tend to say, oh, I can get this cheaper. I'm like, look at the last 3 years. Really, has anything been less expensive for you over the last 3 years? Be realistic. Don't start cutting expenses. Don't put unrealistic exit cap projections. People say, oh, interest rates are so high now, they've got to come down. I'm like, you haven't been around for enough decades. My interest rate on my first home was more than 7.5%. Okay?
Right.
Average interest rate being 7 to 8% is pretty realistic. Don't expect that 4%, 3% interest rate to come back.
Everyone
is almost like
it's going to settle at 5.5%, but again, you haven't been through enough cycles.
Correct.
So there was a long time where 7.25% was, a good rate. 7%,
Correct.
6.75% was, you were doing really good. So you're absolutely right. And some of the old school guys, I'll just touch on this before we go here. When this bull run was happening and these syndicators were coming out and they were, getting the short-term debt 2%, and it was going to be hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. And then you had some of these old timers, I called them, some of these guys that have been through some cycles, and they were settling on long-term debt, right, at 4.5. A lot of guys were laughing at them, like these guys don't know what they're doing. Look at them, we're going to make more money, yada yada yada. And I look at it now and I say, who's laughing now, sir?
Yep, exactly. And the exit cap rate assumption can make or break a deal. So don't assume a lower exit cap, meaning market conditions are going to be favorable when I want to sell. It could be the reverse.
Yeah, and be fair. Obviously you want to be on the conservative side, but you want to be as close to accurate as possible as well. I think you can be too much on both sides. You can obviously be too, upside focused, or, you can see too much risk in a deal, right? So I think you want to be as close to the actual outcome as you possibly can, leaning a little bit more on the conservative side. All right, so we're going to post your website. We're going to post your email. You have one book here, Next Level Your Life. Tell me a little bit about that before we go.
It's a collection of short stories, of inspirational stories, of rags to riches or struggles to triumph of several different entrepreneurs. And I have my story in that book as well, age 55. You can order it on Amazon. It's a bestseller across many categories. And the hope is that you don't give up and you persist and you go after your dreams and you manifest and get it done.